What's up? It's Mr. Aquar with the air, back again with another Sunday vlog. It is early Sunday afternoon. Excuse me. I almost did not want to make a vlog this week, but I'm marching on and doing it anyways. This is Airside chat number 9. My 9th consecutive week doing this. Hope you guys had a great week. Hope you guys had a good eclipse. My eclipse was pretty emotional week for me. A lot of inner child stuff coming up, and really having to step up my boundaries, especially towards other family members, and dealing with a lot of monitoring spirits, and that's definitely has not been fun. It's been enlightening, though. I'm glad that it's happening for me, you know. I feel a bit frustrated and upset with the revelations that I've received as of late, but you know, that comes with the territory of being awakened and having an elevated consciousness, you know. And something that I've been wanting to, or that's kind of been coming up for me around this eclipse, was the fact that I've been monitored my whole life, and a part of me wants to beat myself up because it shouldn't have took me this long to do something regarding the monitoring spirits in my life, especially family, because I've been monitored my whole life, really, and it feels like when I was growing up, I would always have that sense of somebody watching me, even when I'm alone, you know, even when it's just me and Hermit. And having to put other family members in the freezer because, you know, they're gonna use other people that are, you know, around them to spiritually monitor me on their behalf, and that sucked, and I was picking up on it, and I felt frustrated to even do that. And there is a bit of grief that comes with that, excuse me, because you know, a family that was supposed to protect me and all these other things, but instead, at least from my experience, I basically was monitored my whole life, whether through means of social media or other family members using another family member as like a pawn to monitor me on their behalf if they didn't have direct access to me. And that harsh realization that that's been happening for most, if not all, of my life, it really pissed me off. into doing something about it. So, um, and then I've really been reflecting over my mother wounds, and especially with Mars still being in Cancer right now, and Mars is currently squaring Chiron right now. Um, like I said in Airside chat number 8, it's hard being a Leo rising right now, and quite frankly, it's still hard. It's still hard. It's still tough. I wouldn't say hard per se, I would say challenging. Especially with the 8th house stellium in the sky right now. You know, Mercury, the sun is in the 8th house. Mercury is in, or Mercury is retrograding in the 9th, but it'll go back into the 8th once it goes back into Pisces. Same for Venus. Venus retrograding in the 9th currently, but it'll go back into the 8th house. Saturn in the 8th, North Node in the 8th, Mars in the 12th, Uranus in the 10th, Pluto in the 7th, Neptune in the 8th. It's just been a lot. I've just been very sleepy, very tired, a lot of rest. Feeling guilty for even resting, to be honest, because I feel like a part of me has to earn rest, and even when I'm resting, I feel like I have to be doing something externally productive to rest. So I've been grappling with that as of late, trying to have a better relationship with rest, and also removing shame surrounding my sexuality. Feelings of being, ostracized or treated differently, and yeah, so a lot of things that I'm dealing with and working through right now, and quite frankly, I'm not feeling okay. I've been going about it with a smile on my face, and closing myself off from connection and having a protective barrier up because, shielding myself from judgment, but also closing myself off from any potential connection, and that whole nine. But I'll never forget, I was 7 years old. This was back in like 2008. I was in second grade, and I was in school, and I was in music class. We were like at the end of music class. We were all lined up at the door, and this boy comes up to me. And I won't say his name because, for privacy purposes. He asked me, "Are you gay?" And I said, yes, with no hesitation, without even knowing what the word meant or anything of that sort. And really, for men, and that's kind of when the bullying started regarding my sexuality, self-expression, that whole nine. I have Chiron in my 5th house, and that is core wounds regarding self-expression. I also have my South Node in the 5th house as well, in Capricorn. So there's been a lot of past life stuff regarding self-expression, creativity, having an overly serious approach to it, or an overly structured approach to self-expression, creativity, the whole nine. So I'm really working on opening up more without a structure, I guess. And but going back to what I was saying, it took it was many years of bullying and a lot of judgment for the way that I expressed myself. And, I came out as bisexual. I'll never forget one of the most painful moments was when I came out as bisexual in 2020. I was like 19 at the time, I think, and this is like not long after I was on Wheel of Fortune the first time. And I posted on my Snapchat in like a private story or whatever. I had like a Wheel of Fortune puzzle. I made a Wheel of Fortune puzzle that said I'm bi the picture, and I had like, caption. It was kind of just the closet was glass. People had already known about it, but my coming out was more so like a confirmation of what people had already known for or speculated for many years. And I told my parents about it, and they were like, well, have you ever had sex with, a guy or a girl to even know about 11:11 on my timer? And I was like, no. And they kind of believed, and they had told me that I needed to delete that post off of my story, and I did. And I kind of felt this undertone of shame from either one or both of them. Excuse me. Confirmation burp. That, I kind of had this inkling of a hunch that, they would treat me different because of my sexuality, which I kind of felt happened. How I was treated kind of shifted after that. And that was not the best feeling at all. So I've been really working through like removing the shame from other people around me regarding my self-expression, my sexuality, the whole nine. And it's been challenging. It's been so much shame that I took on as my own. And I feel frustrated, looking back at my childhood and the mother wounds, and, having a mom that was, the center of attention. And you think, being an only child, that you would be able to, like, be nurtured for and be taken care of. And, especially as a Leo rising myself, I was not the center of attention. I wasn't, ironically. How ironic for a Leo rising to grow up in a household where they were not the center of attention when it came to the nurturing aspect. And regarding my mother, I wish her well, even though she gave me hell. That's all I'm going to open up about, at least in the depth that I opened up. And other things, 5 years ago on the 17th, which would be tomorrow, my Wheel of Fortune episode, my first Wheel of Fortune episode aired 5 years ago tomorrow. It's been 5 years since I've been on Wheel of Fortune. And it feels like just yesterday. I feel like I can just easily transport myself back into that exact time frame. And that whole nine. And Wheel of Fortune is one of those things that has brought me immense joy the entirety of my life. And being on that show, and I'll just, I just talk about my Wheel of Fortune journey a little bit because not many of you know about it. So I started watching Wheel of Fortune when I was 9 months old. This was towards the tail end of 2001, around mid-November to mid-December of 2001. That's when I started watching Wheel of Fortune. I was 9 months old, according to my mother's account. And my grandma, my late maternal grandmother, it'll be 20 years since she passed on and transitioned. And I feel like I've been also experiencing a lot of delayed grief because I was 4 years old when she passed away in 2005. And a part of me is sad, very sad, that she's not physically there to be able to nurture me in the way that I needed to be nurtured. And being shown the healthiest example of nurturing very early on, the first 4 years of my life, and then for most of my life up until this very point being shown the unhealthiest forms of nurturing or lack thereof through other people. I feel angry because I feel like I had to parentify my mom emotionally when she would get emotionally volatile. Having to constantly walk on eggshells around her. Oh God, man. It's like, it just came to me like a channel. It's like having my inner child is wanting to channel through me right now. It's like I had to, this feeling of having to sacrifice my sovereignty to upkeep and maintain the sovereignty of somebody else. Oh, damn. Wow. That's fucked up, really. But very potent and poignant. I've never even heard of it that way. Wow. Thank you, inner child, for coming through with that. Yeah. Having to sacrifice my sovereignty to maintain and upkeep the sovereignty of somebody else, or to tend to one, like, wow. But anyways, going back to Wheel of Fortune, with my autistic ass, actually autistic and ADHD, and really another thing, that's another aspect that was suppressed when I was coming up. I felt like, being autistic and neurodivergent, but being raised as if I was neurotypical because I'm intelligent and a genius and all these things that they witnessed. They felt the need to kind of just push my shortcomings off to the side, with my autism and neurodivergency. So that was another thing I had to deal with, and feeling intellectually ostracized because, yes, I'm a genius and all these things, but I have my mental shortcomings and mental flaws. Yeah. But anyways, let me drink some water because, ooh. With Wheel of Fortune, I we watched it every night. Me and my grandma watched it every night up until her passing in '05, and I would still watch it even after her passing. And that was what that wasn't the only thing that shaped our bond. It was like one of the biggest aspects of my bond with her while she was alive was Wheel of Fortune. And she trained me at a very young age to become the puzzle solver and Wheel of Fortune enthusiast that I am today. And I would go on and practice and from playing the many video game versions of the game, or of the show, and I would just practice and practice and practice. I'm putting in thousands and thousands of hours and playing against other people on Twitter, trying to solve the puzzle as fast as with as little as information as possible. And Wheel of Fortune, I tried out for the show in 2017. I was 16 years old, or actually I was 15 years old, just a couple days shy of 16, and I put in an application, or I filled out an online application. Really, Wheel of Fortune was actually not the first show that I tried out for. I actually tried out for Jeopardy back in around like 2013, 2014. I was 13 years old, and I tried out for the teen tournament, and I couldn't even get past the first question. It was so difficult. I was like, I'm not doing Jeopardy. I'll just stick to Wheel of Fortune. With Wheel of Fortune, I feel like I really have a past life connection with the show. Because I feel like in the last incarnation before this one, I was really into Wheel of Fortune, and that was one of the things that carried over into this. It has a past life imprint, and I just feel such a deep and nostalgic connection with the show that goes well beyond the bond with my grandma. I felt that in my crown, my third eye. I felt a punch in my third eye. It's felt like I grew up with Wheel of Fortune, like ever since it started in like the mid '70s, and then like the '80s, the '90s. I find myself watching very old episodes of Wheel of Fortune from the '80s and '90s more than I do watching the current episodes now. With all due respect, as much as I love Ryan Seacrest as a person and as a personality, as a host of many things. He has a very busy schedule. He has Wheel of Fortune, American Idol when it's a new season, and I feel like he's just stretching himself really thin, because it's like, how do you have time for Wheel of Fortune? You make time for things, you have 24 hours in a day, but at the same time, you actually have 365, 366 days in a year. So it's like, to make time for all those things and to be of very high quality when you're doing those things is very commendable. It would be very interesting if Pat Sajak came back. As much as I loved Pat, I got to meet Pat Sajak twice. I loved him, but yeah, I'm like talking about my Wheel of Fortune story out of order. See, that's the autistic life, bruh. But I'm flowing. So really, with Wheel of Fortune, I was going back into, I was talking about Jeopardy. when I tried out for Jeopardy, I was like, I'm not doing Jeopardy. I'm just going to stick with Wheel of Fortune. So I continued to stick with Wheel of Fortune. I tried out in, I auditioned. I sent in an application in 2017, February 2017. I didn't really hear anything from them. Then in May 2019, almost 6 years ago now, I decided to try again, but as a college student, because I was going to be going to college in the fall of 2019, post-graduation, post-high school graduation. So I did that. I sent in an audition video and an application, and 10 days, not even 2 weeks later, I get an email from Wheel of Fortune saying, you know, you've been invited to an in-person audition in Detroit, Michigan, and it gave like the details. It was in Detroit, Michigan. It would be in early June and whatnot. I almost didn't go to that audition because my dad was very tired, and you know, from driving the bus, you know, for the school system. My dad's a bus driver for the local school system in my area, and he works with all different, he transports all the grade levels, you know, middle school, high school, elementary, the whole nine. So he's been doing that for 13 years now, and he's been with the school system for almost 30 years total combined. He started out as a bus driver's assistant. It's basically like a teacher's assistant in the classroom, except it's a bus driver's assistant on the bus to help with the kids and their behaviors, so that way the driver can focus on driving. My mother played devil's advocate, although I want to believe that that was actually my grandma channeling through my mother playing devil's advocate. So shout out to my grandma for convincing my dad through my mom to take me to that Wheel of Fortune audition. So it was the day after school was out. This was on my dad's birthday, June 4th, 2019. This was during Gemini season, and that I went to this audition. There was like, it took place in a hotel ballroom in Detroit, Michigan. There was like 50 to 60 other people auditioning alongside with me. And the Wheel of Fortune auditions, at least back then, when it was still in person, it was just like the actual show. They would call us up like one by one, going through the whole seating chart and whatnot, where everybody was sitting, and they would test us based off of like our projecting our letters and personality and certain things that they're looking for in a Wheel of Fortune contestant. And I solved one of the puzzles, and I got a Wheel of Fortune hat. I don't have it with me currently, but hang on, let me look for it. Whoops, sorry about that. The video, my phone cut off. I wasn't able to find the hat that I won from my audition. That's okay though. I do have the name tag from my first appearance though, however. I don't know where my second name tag is from my second appearance, but I'm only talking about my first appearance since it's been 5 years, so there's that. But yes, as I was saying before that, before I paused it, I went to, I solved the puzzle, and then after they went through everybody and tested how, kind of got a gauge at how they played and how they interacted with the puzzles that was played, we took a contestant exam, a written contestant exam. It had 16 puzzles with some letters filled in, couple letters filled in, and we had 5 minutes to fill in as many puzzles as we could. And a lot of people did not do good on those. I remember people saying that they got like two of them, or three, four, five, six, somewhere around there. Um, I was able to get at least 11 or 12 of them filled in or right within the 5 minutes. Um, and those contesting exams are pretty difficult. They are pretty difficult. So after that test, they went into another room and they graded all the exams, and we got to watch a Wheel of Fortune episode while they went and graded all the exams, which took them about a half an hour to do. Then after the episode is over, they came back and they announced, they did a cut, and they cut like, it went from like 60 to 70 people down to 25 people. So they were basically like, okay, if we call your name, we're gonna do some more playing, more intense playing, basically. Well, they didn't say that until after the cut, but it was like, if we call your name, we would like you to stay. If we don't say your name, then your audition is finished. Thank you for coming. So all the names are being called. My name was called to stay. I got to move on to the next part of the auditions, which was a more intense playing of the game. 5 of us playing against each other, and we got to play 3 puzzles, like the actual show, except there were 5 of us playing. And we, pretended to spin the wheel, and like the actual show, how, kind of just envisioning how they would, how we would handle being on that stage, that set, so we went, and then we will also, after those 3 rounds, we would introduce ourselves, as if we were like talking to Pat, or like during the interviews or whatever. And then the next 5 would come up to do the same thing, and then the auditions were entirely done, and they were like, okay, if you hear from us within 2 weeks in the mail, like a letter in the mail, then that means you've been selected to be in the contestant pool, which means you can be on the show, anytime from, up until like a year, up until like a year to like 18 months or something like that, within that time frame, within a year. So that was that, and I would vigorously check the mail every single day. I did not see that letter within that 2-week time frame. I had to wait 7 months. I did not get a call from them until January 2020. So I auditioned in June 2019, and I got the call for the show 2 weeks before the actual filming of the episode, on January 22nd, 2020. That was a Jupiter day. That was Thursday. That was during the early parts of Aquarius season. And I was 18 at the time. I got the call. They was like, would you like to represent Ball State University for College Week on Wheel of Fortune? I was like, yeah. And I almost didn't take it I almost didn't take that opportunity to be out there, because I was just like, okay, I practiced for all these years, but I don't think I'm ready to handle being on that stage and playing in front of a live audience. and then potentially being seen by millions of people, not only around the country, but some markets in the world that air Wheel of Fortune too. But I said yes without hesitation, and I was just like, might as well go for it, you know. What's the worst thing that could happen? I didn't want my years of training to go to waste, you know, or any of that nature. So we flew out the day before the actual tape date. We flew out on February 5th to LA. You have to put yourself up. They don't provide accommodations. The only accommodations that they provided is breakfast and lunch at the studio, and also they provided a bus shuttle that picked up all the contestants and took them to the shuttle to the studio, which was really nice. They didn't do that for my second appearance. I had to get an Uber to Sony Picture Studios. Wheel of Fortune films at Sony Picture Studios out in Culver City, California, which is like just outside of LA. You know, so hopped at the plane at LAX. We're dreaming my cardigan. I almost want to break out in the song every time I mention LAX or LA. So I swear. But we got onto the set at like 7 in the morning. It was very cold. Very cold in that studio. The set was a lot smaller than they make it look because of the cameras and the optical manipulations and of TV cameras and whatnot. And the puzzle board was a lot bigger than they make it seem. But the wheel is so heavy. The wheel weighs 2,400 pounds. I kid you not. It's that tough to spin. You got to have a lot of muscle to spin that wheel. I'm thankful I had the muscle to spin the wheel as strong as I did, you know. So, long story short, I won. The full episode is on my YouTube channel. The quickest way to find it is toggle the filter to popular uploads, and it'll be like the most viewed one above my second appearance, which was almost 2 years ago now when I was on the second time. I might have to do a separate vlog for when I was on the second time, how that happened, how that came about, the whole nine. Long story short, I was the second episode. We did a random draw who we were playing against, the whole nine, before we took the stage, and we did our promos for our affiliates in our areas and our hometowns, and for the news outlets. The local news outlets would air that around the time of the air date. And yeah, so I ended up winning my episode. I had almost $30,000 going into the bonus round. I won a trip to Barbados, which I took that trip in 2022. June of 2022, I took my mom with me on that trip. Let's just say I made the best of that trip. I made the best of that trip with the circumstances, you know, mother wounds. I initially wanted my dad to go on that trip with me. But I did not. But my dad wanted my mom to go on the trip, you know, give her the opportunity to be able to go outside the country and see the world, you know. So that was also my first time out of the country, so I had to get a passport and whatnot, and you know, the whole aftermath of it all. But I won $65,930 in cash and prizes the first time around, and a lot of you are asking, what did you do with the money? I flew through that money. I did. The first thing that I bought with my winnings the very first thing I bought with my winnings was this laptop, this gaming laptop. This is a Acer Predator Triton 500 laptop. And that was the first thing that I literally dropped $3,000 on that thing. $3,000 5 years ago. This was in like July 2020. Usually with game show winnings, specifically Wheel of Fortune, I did not get my winnings until 4 months after the air date. So I didn't get my check until like late July, or not late July, late June going into early July of 2020. So the episode was filmed in February, and then the episode aired in March. So the turnaround time between the filming and the airing of the episodes is 1.5, roughly a month and a half. Sometimes a little bit less, sometimes a little bit more. But it's usually a month and a half between the film date and the air date, and then 4 months between the air date and when you would collect your winnings via a check in the mail. And but other things that I did with the money, I DoorDashed every day. It was just that luxury. Really, with these kinds of things, I worked hard for it, and I wanted it bad. And I wanted to, my dreams to come true. My dreams came true. Looking back at it now from, a 24-year-old perspective versus, 18, 19 years old, the naivety of that age and the naivety of it all. I was not the wisest with it. I was the wisest with my labor, but I wasn't the wisest with my fruit. It's like I wanted it bad enough to where I obtained it, but I didn't want it bad enough to where I wanted to make my fruit last. Also getting financially taken advantage of, with being on a game show and being seen by millions of people. People are gonna come out of the woodwork, ask for money, in which I did. I was overly generous with my winnings, giving my hard-earned winnings to people who with all due respect, they didn't work for a thing in their life. No disrespect to those people, okay? And so just a lot of people, it was very eye-opening, the aftermath. People coming out of the woodworks, people asking me for money, people and if they didn't ask for money, they hung around me only because I had an elevated status. They didn't notice me before, but they're noticing me now. And they want to hang around me all of a sudden because I have this status and all of these things. And, I gave money to my dad because he wanted to invest in Bitcoin at the time. So I gave him like $9,600, close to $10,000. And my mom asked for around $8,100 to pay off her credit card. So I gave her that money to pay off her credit card. But apparently that $8,100 was not enough. Not only was I taken advantage of, not only did I allow myself to be taken advantage of by peers who asked for money, I also allowed my mother to take advantage of me financially. And that was very heartbreaking to experience, especially from a parental figure like the one who birthed you into this world. My inner teen is still fed up with that. And quite frankly, I don't blame my inner teen for being still upset regarding that. Um, a part of me is not upset that she took money from me, allegedly. It's the principle where I feel the most frustrated, because it's like, if you're gonna ask, if you're gonna take my money, at least ask me, and I would have said yes. But you decide to allegedly go ahead and take money from me without my permission, without asking me. Um, so I basically went through I survived financial abuse. Um, it even it was even to the extent where money was taken from some of my paychecks when I was still living under my mother's roof, even. Um, and uh, and Really, the first time around that I felt like I wasn't really able to celebrate properly, because my parents would end up divorcing 7 months after my Wheel of Fortune episode aired. So that kind of just, thank goodness that high moment came when it did, because that happened. And that was very devastating. And I felt upset because I thought that the divorce was my fault for a long time. Another reason why I felt upset was because I psychically sensed that for a while that a divorce was inevitable, that it was going to happen. And I was blaming myself because I quote unquote manifested the divorce to happen. What I will say, what I do miss about it is the sense of family, and the sense of a family unit, even though things were unstable. I have Uranus square the IC, so uh, things were unstable, moved a lot. Even though things may have been financially stable, it was emotionally there was stability, there was instability somewhere. There was, and yeah, it just rocked my world, because with that divorce, it kind of just reinforced that my childhood is over. When that sense of having a family unit was like one of the last things that I was holding on to from my childhood, growing up in a 2-parent household. And it's like, now that that was gone, my dad eventually moved out, and my mom introduced a new person very quickly, and not feeling like a priority. That really hurt. That really fucking hurt. No longer being a priority, and then kind of just kicking me out. It was such in a rush to not only get my dad out of there, but also getting me out of there. And that was like double, like I just felt that abandonment is so hard, and I still feel the side effects to some degree to this day. And really, the relationship with my mother was more of a sibling relationship than it was a mother-son relationship. And it kind of felt like the older sister nagging on the younger brother. That's exactly what came to me just now. Like that's the best way that I can describe it. But I'm not really gonna pull. I'm just gonna pull some cards. I done yapped enough about my life, a little bit about my upbringing, some of the things that I survived and went through. So I set the intention to connect with the collective. What do we got? I just want somebody to know that you deserve to be here, and you are, you are one in a million. One in a million. And I'm sorry if I'm the first to tell you that, the very first in your life ever to tell you that. But I hope that I'm not the last person to tell you that. Seriously. Okay, that card wanted to come. When I don't feel good about myself, I respond in negative words and actions. Yeah. Big, definitely. I feel like I'm like helping transmute these childhood wounds, the inner teen, inner child stuff for the collective right now, very heavily. And oh, it's a lot. Your soulmate awaits. There's a huge opportunity in relation to the partner you seek to attract and to be attracted to. Yeah, but it's, you know, being our own soulmate from within, you know, taking over. I'll nurture myself better than what you could have done, you know. Being our own best friend, being our own lover. Legendary lovers, we could be legendary. I'm hearing that song. Legendary Lovers by Katy Perry is significant. We got Breathe Through the Tension, Full Moon in Scorpio. And Moon in Capricorn, Leave the Past Behind. Yeah. Confirmation for my smoke detector. Let me get into frame a little bit more. Let me pull like one more. Actually, let me pull an evil. I'm curious. Let me pull. By the way, if you guys are interested in booking a personal reading with me, the link to my website and my services is gonna be in the description. I'm currently having a spring equinox sale. There's no discount code. All of my pre-recorded services are on sale right now. The sale ends on March 24th at 2 p.m. Eastern, so don't miss out. It's a good time to get divine clarity and insight, and I'll be more than happy to read for you guys. Yeah, we got astral projection. Someone is using astral projection to spy on you in the astral realm. Yep. I've been feeling that very heavily lately. Very heavily. What else we got? Dream visits. Someone is visiting you in your dreams to influence you subconsciously. Sacral chakra blocks, causing lack of or repressed creativity or sexual dysfunction, emotional isolation, and sexual repression. I was literally just talking to myself before recording this about working through my sacral and the whole, you know, whatever, but I'm gonna get a closing card for us. Falling from cloud nine, crashing from the high. I'm letting go tonight. Yeah, I'm falling from cloud nine. I'm wide awake. That song just came through very strongly. Where's my other deck at? There it is. No, that's the wrong one. Golly. Bro, I be picking the wrong decks, bro. Swear. Actually, we'll just get a closing card from the Modern Day Masters deck. See what we get. Thank you to those of you that booked a reading with me. I'll be getting to your readings. I'm just resting right now, working through some long pent-up stuff right now. So I appreciate your guys' patience. Okay. Can I get a closing card from this deck, please, Spirit? Thank you. We got misuse of spiritual gifts causing cursed blood, breaking cycles of witchcraft, liberating and clearing dormant witch warlock DNA, spiritual blood transfusion. Yeah. Yeah, these family members, they're unknowingly misusing their gifts. They're using their gifts to spiritually monitor me, and it's like, that's not cool. Bottom of the deck, walking purifier. It's like honey when it washes over you. Sage, Palo Santo, selenite. Yeah, you guys are like walking selenites, bro. Like when you come into a room, you're literally like, you purify every room you walk into. And top of the deck, we got spiritual defamation, smear campaign, and shade room. Yep. That's why they like to monitor some of you, because to perpetuate the smear campaign. Yeah. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the vlog. Happy equinox week. It's the last week of winter in the northern hemisphere, the last week of summer in the southern hemisphere, if I'm not mistaken. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I hope that this vlog empowered somebody, inspired somebody, that it resonates with somebody, to let them know that within their experiences that they're not alone, okay? Like I said, if you guys are interested in booking a personal reading with me, the website to book with me will be in the description below. I hope you guys have a great week. Happy astrological new year in advance. And I love you guys so much. And thank you for allowing me the space to be vulnerable and speak my truth. I love you guys. Bye. Mr. Aquar of the Air out.